Have you ever wondered why your GoPro footage sucks? Yeah, it's probably why you're on this video. Well, today, I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know to get the most out of your GoPro. What's happening, everybody? For those of you that don't know me, my name's Jackson Lebsack. I'm a filmmaker, photographer from Oregon, but currently residing in Hawaii, working for the professional YouTuber and world-renowned surfer, Jamie O'Brien. In today's topic, yes, we're talking GoPros, and throughout my filmmaking career, I never really used GoPros until about 2 years ago when I realized the true power that these cameras can hold. I'm gonna walk you through everything today, settings, we're gonna go through my favorite film modes, we're gonna go through the modes of the camera itself, and we're even gonna talk about the GoPro app. There's a lot of powerful features that are overlooked on this thing, and I'm gonna help you get your GoPro footage looking a lot more like those promo reels you always see. Oh, it's gonna be a good one. First things first, let's switch to the overhead and start with my favorite filmmaking modes. Oh, and by the way, before we get to the modes, this is not a quick tips today. We're not gonna be quick about this one. It's gonna be pretty in depth, and we're gonna really break down how to get the most out of your GoPro. Okay, GoPro modes, let's go. Before we jump into the overhead, I would like to explain that, yeah, I'm not sponsored by GoPro, nor am I preaching their product by any means. All these thoughts are my own, and I'm just trying to help you get the most out of these little action cameras. They're great cameras, but they have their flaws as well. Beyond that, I'm using a GoPro 8 for this tutorial, but any GoPro that you have, you should be able to get value out of this video. Some things might be a little different. However, I really noticed a massive change in these cameras with the GoPro 7 and above with the addition of Hyper Smooth. So jumping right into it, we'll get into settings and modes on the overhead. First things first, turn the GoPro on. I'm gonna swipe it down to unlock, and here we are. Oh, swipe it down, unlock, and here we are within the beautiful GoPro menu. Starting off with video, I have these designated presets that was a new addition to the GoPro 8. I have standard, activity, slow-mo, and cinematic. By the way, if you're on an older GoPro, like the 7 or below, don't let these presets scare you. You just have to have the pain in the butt of going in and manually changing the settings before you shoot something. These presets are here just as an ease of access to make it so I can quickly switch between things depending on what I'm filming. Jumping back into the overhead, we'll open up the GoPro menu and start with my standard film mode. I call it the standard, by the way, because it's the one I use the most. But within my standard film mode, I like to use 2.7K at 120 FPS. It's just my general go-to. For example, if I was follow cam skiing or if I was holding my GoPro on a pole, I like the ability to slow things down with 120 FPS, and I think 2.7K is a great quality trade-off. With the GoPro 8, you also have Hyper Smooth in this mode, and yeah, it's just the all-around bang for the buck mode for my personal style. I keep the lens on wide for this mode, clips off, Pro Tune, you want your bit rate high. This ensures we get the maximum quality. You want your shutter on auto. I know if you have NDs, that's ideal. You can manually set your shutter and you're gonna get obviously the best results. I don't have NDs for the new GoPro 8, so I've kind of been slacking there. But yes, get NDs if you have them. That'll help a lot. EV comp, I like this one at -1. The GoPros tend to overexpose things, so if you back it off a bit to EV comp 1, that helps with the shadows and whatnot, or with the highlights and whatnot. White balance. White balance depends. If I'm in a situation where I need to set the white balance, I will. If I'm in a situation where I think the GoPro will do a good job, I just leave it on auto. Honestly, from my personal experience, I think the GoPro does a pretty good job with auto white balance. But if you're in clear, perfect daylight or perfect clouds, you might as well set it manually so you ensure that it nails the shot. ISO minimum, keep this at 100. ISO max, keep it at 400. If the shot goes above 400 ISO, you're gonna get grain on a GoPro. The sensor's not big enough to handle anything much above that. Sharpness, generally I think they preset it to high. I recommend medium though, because medium, it softens the look a bit and makes it look a bit better, and you can add more in post if you need to. Color, GoPro, raw audio off, wind, turn that off. Wind reduction doesn't do anything. It just makes your voice sound like a robot, so you don't need it. So yes, That's my go-to standard mode. Again, if I'm follow cam skiing and if I'm generally just running around with my GoPro as a run and gun camera, 2.7K 120 FPS is my go-to mode. I'll roll some clips to give you examples on what this looks like.
Am I a manic depressant? How come I'm overly stressing? Feel like my mind is congested with shit I don't wanna mention. Is this detention? Am I suspended from happiness? Am I the joke that they laughing at? I'm not a joke, why you laughing at me?
Hope you enjoyed the examples. All right, next up we have activity. Now I use activity for anything I'm doing point of view. Jumping into the settings, I film anything POV. That means if it's in my mouth and I want you to feel like you're looking through my eyes, that's POV, point of view. Anything POV that I'm doing, I make sure that I'm filming in super view. That's the key. My favorite settings with super view are 2.7K at 60 frames a second. Again, this goes back to the fact that 2.7K is a great quality trade-off and 60 FPS still gives me slow motion. Kind of gives you the best of both worlds here. Super view pulls that wide angle lens back super far and really gives you the most immersive look. Anything I'm doing while I'm biking, surfing, skiing, if it's in my mouth and I want you to feel like you're in my eyes, super view is the go-to mode. I'll roll an example that I did actually in the last vlog. This was entirely filmed in super view and you can see it's a very immersive feeling and you really feel like you're surfing through my body. That sounds weirder than it is. Just watch.
I just bought a new whip. Spend a couple thousand just to cruise it. Shawty said she love me, but I swear she'll never prove it. I never tell her, but I put it in the music. Well, that's okay. All I wanna do is make the best of my whole day. Thank the Lord up above, get the cream on the side, make me laugh to know it. That's the stuff that I love, love. We can be friends if you wanna. We can just talk if you wanna. We can hold hands if you wanna.
So there you go. Other than that, I keep the Pro Tune settings all the same across all the presets you're gonna see. To run you through it one more time, bit rate's high, shutters auto. Again, if you have NDs, that's good. ISO max 400, white balance kinda depends, sharpness medium, GoPro color. That's another one I didn't touch on, GoPro coloring. I personally don't use GoPros to get really cinematic with. I have my GH5 for that. I have other cameras for that. So to be honest, I don't see much of a need to really color grade super gnarly flat GoPro footage. I'd rather use a normal camera for that. Just my philosophy there. On to the next preset, slow-mo. This one kind of states the obvious. Slow-mo. I use this slow motion preset for anything that I really want to exaggerate. Anything that happens in the blink of an eye. For example, this shot right here. That was a shot by my buddy Justin, and as you could see in that little playback, I showed you the difference between 20% versus 10%. That's the difference between 120 FPS and 240 FPS. 240 FPS just adds a whole nother, I mean, you're taking 120 and just doubling the slowdown time. So it pretty much freezes time. And when I'm getting barreled, I'm generally not in a very big barrel, so it happens really, really fast. And so I really wanted to slow it down and so that I could be in the barrel as long as I possibly could. Going back out here, we have the cinematic mode. Now this is the mode I use the least and honestly kind of never use it, but I figured I'd point it out in case you don't have another camera to shoot cinematic footage with. So jumping into the cinematic preset, we got the 4K 24 FPS. 24 FPS is gonna give you the most filmic look and overall the high quality Hollywood feel. You can't really get that with a GoPro, but this certainly helps. On top of that, if a GoPro is your only camera, it's definitely worth investing in NDs so that your shutter speed can be double whatever your frame rate is, ensuring you get the best picture quality and overall perfect motion blur. Next up, we got the lens. The lens through all my other presets stayed the same with the general wide angle, unless you're using the POV mode, which I recommend super view for, so that it's very immersive. For cinematic, it's the exact opposite. Use the linear lens because that gets rid of the general standard GoPro look, which is that wide angle fish. Hyper smooth, always keep it on. Pro tune, everything else is the same. One more thing I want to touch on within the modes is kind of a little hidden setting that a lot of people, I think, don't know about or don't know when to utilize it. You've heard me talk about it before if you've watched some of my past videos like vlogging with a GoPro. Check it out right here. And that is filming in a 4:3 aspect ratio. If we dive into the settings, let's go to activity mode. We'll go edit these settings and we'll go to 2.7K. And as you can see here, it says 2.7K. Wow, I was off the grid there. Okay, going into the settings mode, we're gonna open up 2.7K 60, open it up, and then click on Res and FPS, and we're back to the menu screen in which we can choose the resolution and frame rate. You can see it right here above 2.7K, it says 2.7K 4:3. If we click on that, we're now filming in a 2.7K 4:3 aspect ratio, and what that means is the frame is actually capturing more tall than it is wide. The purpose for this is just depending on what you're filming. I use this mode all the time, again, depending on what I'm filming. If I'm kite surfing, I'll use 2.7K 4:3 because I want to see my board and my body, and that frame is more tall than it is wide. Does that make sense? Anything you're capturing where you want the GoPro to film more like this as opposed to like this, film in the 4:3 aspect ratio and you'll nail the shot every time. What's cool about the 4:3 aspect ratio is, like I said, yes, captures more tall and wide, but you can bring that footage into a 1920 by 1080 sequence and then zoom it in to fit the 1920 by 1080 sequence, and now you have room up and down to adjust your framing. So yes, when I'm kiting, I use it. Sometimes when I'm skiing, I use it because if the boys are catching big airs or I'm going for an air or whatever it is and we want to make sure that we capture more height than width, we'll use the 4:3 aspect ratio. Keep it in mind. Simple way to remember, height versus width. Jumping into topic number 2 regarding how to get the most out of your GoPro, we have something that shouldn't be overlooked, but I swear it is. I don't see enough people do this with their GoPros, and that's creative placement. Creative placement is an absolute essential when you have a camera this small. I'll roll some early shots from a vlog I did back a while ago about my editing setup. Some of you OGs will remember it, but it's when I made coffee. Check out these 2 shots. As you can see, I put a GoPro in a coffee maker and then into the coffee bag. There's endless situations where you can get creative with a camera that's this big. So just keep it in mind when you're filming with a GoPro, this camera can fit anywhere, and most cameras can't do that. So it gives you a really creative outlook and a new way to think when filming with a GoPro. Adding on to that is also the new ability to have the expansion mod that GoPro came out with. I also use this in my kite surfing blog. I broke it down, what the expansion mod comes with and the benefits of it. I'll overlay some clips while I talk here so you can see kind of what it's all about. But essentially, you get a mic attachment, you can attach a flip LCD, and if you have a little tripod to go along with it, you're basically a portable vlogger with a camera that's this big. That's pretty major. Topic number 3, we're gonna dive into the modes of the GoPro. These are modes that I think people just don't use in general, and when I figured them out, they were the biggest game changer for me and why I realized I will never not have a GoPro in my camera bag ever again. It lives with me. In fact, when I'm traveling, it lives in my pocket. Here's why. Switching to the overhead, first up, we have time warp. And I believe this feature came into play with the GoPro Hero 7. If you're on a 6, this could be the only reason I recommend to upgrade. Watch this little excerpt I made when filming for Jamie O'Brien and the crew back in Tokyo. Me and Justin had this idea to do this Dragon Ball Z like warp effect, and the time warp feature was used throughout the entire sequence. Also, I had to use a different song than we use in the vlog because I don't have a subscription to MusicBed, which is where the song from the vlog used the song from MusicBed, so I had to switch it with a song from Artlist because that's what I use. So yes, the song's not the same, but I cut it to kind of work with the beats. These are the shots you can get with time warp mode. Roll 'em. How nuts is that? Like, honestly, that was some of the best feedback in terms of my filmmaking that I had gotten throughout my entire career with Jamie thus far and creating the vlogs. I think I've created a little over 60 episodes for him now. And yeah, that's pretty ridiculous to say that the GoPro got some of the most praise due to that sequence that I've personally received. On top of that, that sequence was filmed entirely handheld. Me, Justin, and the crew literally walked around with the GoPro like this throughout Tokyo and just held it straight. Click the time warp button, press record, and you just take steps. Walk to a subject, stop, they did the hand twist, we pulled back, just walked back from where we came from, boom, stopped recording, and the GoPro did the magic. Regarding time warp settings that I recommend, that one kind of depends. You gotta weigh it out what you're filming and how fast that stuff is moving. For those Tokyo time lapses, we filmed it in 4K at a 10 times speed. But if we were filming anything slower, for example, say the clouds moving and they weren't moving very fast, maybe you'd switch this speed to 30 times because you want those clouds to actually move. All that the speed is you gotta weigh it out. How fast is the subject that you're capturing moving, and then kind of find a middle ground. But keep in mind, if you film at a slower speed, you can always speed it up later in post. Pro tip right there. For resolution when filming in time warp mode, I always keep it in 4K because there's really no reason to film in anything else for the time warp mode. That's the simple answer there. I truly can't stress enough though how much the time warp feature changed my game. This was the thing that got me into GoPros forever. I first realized the power of it on the ski.com dream job. Check it out if you don't know what that is. And I was blown away by the results. I keep a GoPro in my pocket 24/7 when I travel now because you never know. I just pull it out, I hand hold it, and I walk around just getting incredible time lapses. And with the hyper smooth abilities of the 7, the 8, and the 9, you don't even need a gimbal or even a tripod. You can just hold the GoPro straight up, walk around while filming a time warp, stop recording, and you have a masterfully put together time lapse that's moving. In other words, a hyperlapse. So that's the time warp feature, but what about the time lapse or the night lapse feature? Well, to be completely honest with you, I don't even use the time lapse feature because it's essentially the same exact thing as the time warp feature. There's no difference other than you're choosing an interval versus a speed ramp, versus a 10 times, 5 times, 30 times speed, or a 0.5, 30 second, 2 second interval. That's the difference. Interval versus sped up time. Could be a little bit of use there, but for the most part, they're the same thing. Where the difference comes in is using a night lapse. Now the night lapse mode is awesome for when you're filming something obviously at night, but the key here and the kicker and what makes the night lapse mode so cool is that you can control the shutter speed. Now what that allows you to do is actually get motion blur. So like you saw in the last shot of that Tokyo incredible time warp sequence, there was a shot that we mounted in the back of a car and you can see all these light streaks like lasers going by. Well, that's because we filmed it on night lapse mode and chose a shutter speed of, I believe, 5 seconds. That means the shutter of the camera is closing for 5 seconds and capturing all this light, creating basically a streak of light that the car creates for 5 seconds at a time. Put them all together and you get all these laser beams moving around. Use time warp during the day and night lapse during the night. They made that one fairly simple for us. All right, next topic I want to touch on that I don't see people use enough is the photos of the GoPro. They're actually really, really good. I swear, especially if you pair that with good lighting like any camera. But man, the GoPro's photos these days, I don't know what camera made the big switch to make these photos look so good, but what I captured on the 7 opened my eyes to how good the photos on the GoPro can be and how easy they are to capture good footage. Let me walk you through my tricks on getting good GoPro photos. So switching to the overhead, we're in the photo menu here and we'll open up photo itself and I'll show you what I like. If I'm looking to just capture a single image, I just go to the photo mode and I stage my shot and I select these settings here. My output, Super Photo generally does pretty good. It automatically selects the best image processing for your shot and generally makes them look really good. But if it blows your shot, sometimes it does, just go shoot on the original RAW format mode. You can see down at the bottom we have RAW. So either RAW or Super Photo is what I recommend for output. For lens, wide is what I keep it on. And timer, that's up to you depending on what you're shooting. If you want to go get in the shot, you can set a timer, or if you hold it out on a pole, you can set a timer. I believe there's 3 seconds or 10 seconds, yep. So keep that in mind. Just if you need a timer, it is there. But beyond that, the main point is that the quality of the GoPro photos are actually really, really good. Here's some of my favorites that I've captured using just the timer mode or the one button click photo mode. As you can see, pretty high quality stuff, and they have a certain look to them that I actually really, really like. It might just be me, but I think they look cool. Vibrant colors, and just feels, I don't know, feels cool, man. Diving more into the photo mode, the only other one that I really use is actually time-lapse, which I said not to use, but I'm actually counteracting myself because I do use it when I'm capturing photos. So going back actually to the time-lapse mode, check it out, and I'll explain so that this makes a little more sense. I know I said only use time warp or night lapse, and yes, that's what I recommend if you're shooting video, but I forgot. If you're shooting photos, go to the time-lapse mode, go to edit the settings, change the format from video to photo. This is where you use it if you're trying to capture the action of yourself. I love this mode for if I'm skiing and I have it on a pole, or if I'm trying to get a big group selfie and I have it on a pole, or if I am kiting and I have it on my kite line mount and I can't reach it to take a photo. Any situation where I can't reach to take a photo, or the action or the good shot might only be a split second long, use the time-lapse mode, set it on an interval of 0.5 seconds, and just let the thing take a million photos while you rip down the mountain skiing or slash a wave surfing or kiting, and you're bound to get one good moment out of all the photos it's gonna take every half a second. Really cool technique that's gonna make sure you get some bangers. For the output on those photos, put it to RAW. That gives you the most adjusting capabilities when you put it into a program like Lightroom or whatever your editing software is for photos. It's a RAW photo, so it shoots in a flatter profile, allowing you to add color, change hues, all the good stuff. My last tip on GoPros and how to get the most out of them is actually the GoPro app itself. GoPro made some massive improvements to the GoPro app, and the power of it is incredible, especially when using your content for social media. It's tailored for Instagram or just getting photos onto your phone, and video even, and doing simple edits to put on your story. I'll show you. It's really, really cool and a feature that I love. It's changed my game. They have really good coloring presets and the whole bit. I'll walk you through the process on how to do that, but first I gotta put an SD card in the GoPro. One sec. Okay, SD acquired. So, the GoPro app, pretty darn cool. Let me give you an example. We'll take a quick selfie real quick. Change the mode to photo mode. Let's grab a quick selfie. Boom. See how it looks? Good enough. I'll even do a video to walk you through that process as well. 4K 24 linear mode. Boom, what's up? Filming the weekly video today, and I'm gonna show you how to get this video onto your phone and why the GoPro app is so cool. Peace. So now I have a video and a photo on my GoPro, and say I was done for the kite session or for the ski session for the day, or I was out on a hike and I had a video and a photo. Well, what do I normally do? Check this out. First of all, you gotta open the GoPro app. Once you open the GoPro app, you want to bring down the top menu, unlock on the GoPro, swipe down, you go to preferences, connections, wireless on, connect device, GoPro app, and then click the plus button if you're not connected already, and it says we found your GoPro, connect. Boom, pair, boom, Now you'll get a read on your GoPro that says connection successful and a read on your phone that wants you to save the camera as a new name. We'll click save and check this out. Really freaking cool. One thing that's cool is that you can actually preview via your phone what your GoPro sees. So if you see on the top down, look, wherever I turn the camera, like there's the overhead rig, it sees what I see. So that's a cool little feature as well. But that's not the main thing that I like here. If we click on the little images button down here in the bottom left, we actually get to go into our GoPro and see what we captured. Here's the photo. Check it out. We can download it right from the GoPro straight to our phone. Boom, download complete. I can click view media and then it's saved to my GoPro media cloud pretty much. It's all in my phone, and sorry, my dates are all wrong, so I gotta go find where this photo was saved at. Oh God, the date is horrendously wrong here. Friday, January 1st, 2016. That is not accurate at all. But anyway, there's the photo. So now it's on my phone. I can actually click the pencil icon. I like to click filter, and GoPro actually has really good filters built in on their app, and you can straight up apply them, adjust them, find one that you like. Boom, those colors are pretty sick. You can go and adjust the standards, the contrast, the vibrance, whatever. And then once you get something you're happy with, you click save, and then you click this blue button up top, save to photos. And now that photo just got saved from my GoPro to my phone instantaneously, ready to upload to Instagram or Instagram stories. Super cool and super painless. I love it. It's freaking sick. Same concept through the videos. I'll walk you through that. So back in the main library where my content is, we had the photo and now the video. I'll open it up. Look, we can preview it, see what we captured. There it is. Same thing that the GoPro saw. And what's really rad is there's actually this cutting system within the GoPro app. You can click on the scissors and then scrub through your footage and capture the highlight you want. So let's say I don't want lifting up the camera, but I want right when I wave hello, I can tap to make a cut, scroll to where I want it to end, say right there, and then click next, download to app. And now instead of exporting the entire 30-second sequence, I just took a 7-second clip out of that 30-second clip and downloaded the 7-second highlight that I wanted. Now it's in my media where my photo was originally. So we go back to the library here, find where it's saved, Friday, January 1st, 2016, click on it. We have our 5-second clip that we just exported from the original. And it's the same thing with the photos. You can go in, apply a filter. You can, look at how good that looks. Apply a filter, click check. You can reframe it for Instagram. You can rotate the whole bit. You can literally do anything you want. So my favorite thing to do is after a ski session with the guys or after kiting, I'll come home or be in the car on the way back home or whatever the situation is. I'll turn my GoPro on, I'll turn my phone on, connect the two, and I'll just scroll through my entire session, pick out the highlights, export them to my phone, color them up, and then throw them on my Instagram story or throw them as an Instagram post if they're cool enough. Simple as that, and the coloring is just next level. That wraps it up, folks. Thank you so much for watching. That's all there is to it. I think these tips are really gonna help you make your GoPro just look that much better. And if you did get some value, please drop a like. It helps me more than you know. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We have videos like this coming out every single Friday. And I just don't want you to miss any value. I'm trying to teach you how to film and teach you everything I've learned throughout my career. GoPros, they just came into it not long ago, about 2 years ago, and they changed my filmmaking game. Really, really good cameras once you know how and where to utilize them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, I make decisions to glow. Ridiculous flow, potential to glow. You know, I just do that. Consolidate my regions, line it up, put them together. Anyone that ever let me down, forget them forever. My memory's bad, remember me though? My memory's gone. My memory, it limits me home. No tree huggers, cause all the lumber's gone.